so many good memories of when it went dark. I mean, you could almost tell within a matter of seconds there was going to be shenanigans taking place.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Very nice. Um, all right. Uh, let's go to now. Graduation, or well, I guess we could do the 20 through 40, but
Yeah, let's do a quick 20 to 40.
yeah.
Um, yeah, got,
What happened during that time frame?
well, after high school, I worked in a mobile home factory for about a year and a half, and I just hated what I did every day. So I kind of looked around at me at some of the guys that had been there for many years, and all I could think was, I can't imagine doing this for 45 years of my life. Um, so I enrolled in Harrisburg Area Community College. Um, I knew I had to do something to get some kind of an education in something. Just, and even if it was just getting started in general education and figuring out what I wanted to do from there, um, that's what I planned on doing. And I was still into the party scene. Um, and that was probably a good 5-year period of time of my life, you know, starting in 11th grade, meeting up with Steve Carrick and just all my closest buddies back then, Jeff Smith, his brother Greg, if you remember Greg. I still get together. I go on golf trips with Jeff, get together with Greg anytime he's in town. Laura Montgomery, Tammy Sprout. So that took up probably a 5-year period of time. And then it got even worse. I met somebody in college who kind of took it to another level. And that's when I met my wife. And he was the one that actually suggested I introduce myself to her. And he was out of control, and so was I at the time. But I really did. I enjoyed studying, not like anything in high school. Now I was paying my own way, and I had every incentive to maximize what I was doing. And I had a bunch of catching up from high school days, not being as studious as I should have been. But I was willing to do the work then because I understood that it was critical. Met her, and she was just so different from any of the girls that I wanted to spend time with, different than a bunch of my friends. I just recognized in her someone that could pull me in a different direction. She was sweet and kind and beautiful, and yeah, it was perfect.
Nice.
One of those love at first sight things. So, ended up, she graduated, she got pregnant with our first. That was a really tough time of life. We lived in a 3rd floor apartment, 38 North Lime Street. She came off a 126-acre dairy farm. Took her, she hated the city. My daughter, who is now 37, oldest one, born without an esophagus, born 2 months premature. I'm tending bar part-time, had no money, had no insurance. She just graduated from college, racked up $185,000 worth of medical bills. And we kind of laugh about it, but you know, I told everybody I won't stiff you for this money. We'll find a way to pay you, but it could take 30, 40 years. They were really hard times, but it really drew my wife and I together in that period of time. 9 months later, couple surgeries, finally a big one. They took a piece of her intestine and made an esophagus. So for the first 9 months of her life, we fed her through a tube directly into her stomach. So nobody wanted to babysit. We couldn't go out. Pretty much homebodies for a period of time. Couldn't, hang out with friends unless they came to the house. That was, it drew us together, which was good. I guess it could have done either. It could have separated us or drew us together. She's wonderful now. We've got 4 grandkids, married to a British Canadian and now a U.S. citizen. He's got tri-citizenship, different countries. She was part of Youth with a Mission, Hawaii and Tahiti for a bunch of years, and now they're back in our area for about a year and a half now, which is kind of cool. Second was a son came along, Nathan. Really good time. Broke as can be, still trying to pay medical bills and all that stuff for Aaron. And I'm working 2 or 3 jobs to just, kind of make it all work. Our plan was she'll never work outside the house. I got to make enough money to support us. So Nicholas came along about 2 years after Nate, about 5 years after Aaron, our oldest. That was great also. Bought our first house at that time. Knew I wanted to get into financial services. That's what I had done in college. Kind of looking toward business administration and economics. That always intrigued me. Bunch of years in there where, we moved to the bigger house after Nicholas came along, end of a cul-de-sac. That was fun. Had a farmer's field beside us. We used to race our dirt bikes, the boys when they got young. So all my family rides motorcycles and 4-wheelers and stuff.
Does your wife?
Very little, and we've now since gotten rid of them all.
Oh.
My boys all ride to this day, but the girls not so much. We tried to involve them, but it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So then we decided we weren't done having children, and I had already had an operation to make sure that wasn't going to happen after Nicholas came along.
Mm-hmm.
But come 7 years later or so, my wife and I are talking and really yearning to have more kids. So, and this period of time, I've become a Christian. I've kind of just focus in life changes quite a bit. Decide we should really not make that decision ourselves. So I flew to Arkansas and had a change, had a reversal to trying to have a couple more kids, a few more kids, thinking, hey, we love having children. Ended up with 5 total, which is kind of cool. But the operation never worked. So then we started looking at adoption, ended up adopting my now 21-year-old Emariah about 9 years after Nicholas was born. We then got a surprise a year later from the agency in Ohio that we worked with to get Emmy, and they told us there's a boy here that your birth mom went to the hospital, didn't know she was going to have a baby, had stomach pains, had a baby boy, and wants you to be the father. So a year after Emmy, we get Nigel. So life changed even more, needed more room, had to buy the bigger house, more room for all of them, all the stuff that came along with 5 kids. Um, Good life though, that 20 to 40 year, all the Cub Scouts, all the stuff when you're involved with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we were deeply involved in all the stuff they were doing, wanted to be involved, got them into motorcycling, got them into sports. I discovered soccer, discovered soccer coaching. Stockdale and I coached soccer. Neither one of us having a clue how to play the game. Which led to, from the 40 to 60 age range, I started playing in an adult league when I turned 40, because I was trying to teach my kids how to play soccer. I didn't know the skills it took to play, and started playing with an international group down in Loyola who schooled me week in and week out, schooled me on how to play the game by just beating the life out of me. But that was good. Yeah, so they were the kid years, 20 to 40. And really leading into 50. 5 kids with 1 income probably wasn't the best retire early plan. But good life. I can assure you, good life.
Yeah.
Thankful.
That's cool. Great stories. So what do you like to do with your time now?
I'm still a motorcycle fan. If I want to de-stress or get away for a little bit, just take a ride on the bike. And it could be a 1, 3, 4 hour ride, 6 hours, just go somewhere.
What is the longest you've been? What longest ride have you taken?
I don't do really long rides. It might be here to New Jersey, here to New York, here to Western PA, here to Virginia. But haven't done, like Craig Hogan's brother, Steve, is a real nutcase with long rides. He'll take off and ride 1,100 miles before he stops. That doesn't intrigue me. There's too much to see in between. And I do it with my daily commute. So I ride a motorcycle most of the time, unless it's raining. Can't really show up at work wet or soaked. I carry a rain suit, but yeah, that's not pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not a long distance guy yet. I think maybe upon retirement, I'll probably do some of those longer cruises, hit some of the areas that I've traveled to but never spent time in.
Now, will you get a sidecar for the missus?
She hates riding motorcycles. It freaks her out being close to traffic, and it's never been as dangerous as it is these days. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean these days, this last month. This last month has been wonderful with the quarantining of everyone. Our roadways are so safe right now. Mm-hmm. There's little traffic. It is a pleasure being on a bike.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's normally not. It is very hectic trying to keep track of what's going on around you on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to ask you to go deep here a little bit after this question, really. Things that your friends would be surprised about that you've done, or maybe something about your personality, the classmates of 78. Anything that they'd be surprised about?
Well, I think first off, shocked that I would have 5 children. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the highest number in the class, but I'm sure I'm up there in range. Probably a lot of people knowing how out of control I was at times in my high school days. Just that I'm not anything like that today. Still have a lot of buddies that party pretty hard, and I think I did enough of that when I was young. Mm-hmm. So that's just not high on on the meter anymore for me. Um, I don't think it's any doubt that, about the motorcycling, because I was into it in high school and kind of got away from all the other high school activities so that I could pour myself into motocross at that time and enduros and hare scrambles and all the stuff we were getting into. Um, they'd probably be the biggest things, I think.
What is your biggest regret?
That's a good question. I don't really have too many. Um, I don't regret having the fun I had in those times, but it really wasn't productive. And maybe that's probably a regret. And maybe not focusing more on the schooling. Because truthfully, one of the things I've learned is life is very competitive. And you don't have to be highly educated to be successful in life, but you have to be really good at something. And I wasn't focused on anything at that point in time. And really, these days, with the web, man, there are a lot of new ways that you can make a living and be successful. If that's success to you, just be really good at it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to have been gifted or skilled in something different, what would it be?
Well, like you possibly mentioned, I'd like to have some musical talent because I enjoy sitting around a campfire, somebody with a guitar. Um, I run a golf trip for 44 guys every year right now. We've been doing it 27 years. A lot of the older guys are not around anymore, sadly, but we have photographic memories of all of them. We do the guitars at nighttime, guys on the back porch of this big lodge. Yeah, I think that, and honestly, I'm still thinking about that. I just don't have the talent, but I'd like to force the talent. Yeah.
Oh man, how I admire those that do.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see. How about the hardest thing that you've done and the funniest thing that you've done?
The hardest thing was probably going through those tough times with my daughter when she was born. I mean, that was very tough as a parent. First, you can't even take your child home. They whisk her away to Hershey Medical Center. And we used to live in the hallways. Life's been pretty easy for me, honestly. I mean, I've had to work 2 and 3 jobs at times to make a living, but I don't consider that hard. It was just, hey, this is my role, and that's what I've got to do. So, yeah, I don't. Funniest thing. I don't know. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. I like jumping out of airplane. That's cool. I went rappelling a couple different times. We started in Boy Scouts rappelling off the church roof. That's how we kind of got the first taste of it. Motorcycle racing, that was absolutely stinking thrilling, and it still thrills me. I can't physically take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of, I mean, everybody has these moments. Coming home from the beach one year, my kids I do some stupid things at times. I think we all do. But my kids laugh about some of the stupid and funny things I've done over the years. One of them that comes to mind right now. We're coming home from the beach. The whole family's together. And I get up from the table and I go into the bathroom and I'm in a stall and my mom comes in and sits down at the stall next to me. I could see her sneakers. And I'm sitting there trying to recall, was there a urinal in this place? Please let me remember a urinal. And I couldn't. So I'm thinking, I just have to stay in here until nobody's here and I can maybe sneak out. And that's what I ended up doing. And recalling that story at the table, oh my gosh. And in one of the other times, we got together. Steve Hogan got Craig Hogan's mom a birthday gift that Alma Hogan, Mark Gimber, Brad Albert, and I would take her to a Charlie Daniels concert. Steve got us the tickets, and then he bought us dinner at one of the chains out on Route 30. Not one of us had a beer down. We were retelling stories that his mom had never heard about Craig and some of his antics. And I only had a half a beer down when we got flagged by the server at our table. Poor Mrs. Hogan was embarrassed. We ended up having to leave the restaurant and go to the Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse, like 100 yards from there, to get a beer and something to eat before we went to the concert because she was so embarrassed. Oh, we felt so bad, but funny memory.
Yeah. Excellent. They're good. All right. And the most beautiful thing you've seen or experienced? We'll kind of close with that one. Or there's a couple others, but.
Oh, I love anywhere in the mountains. Colorado is pretty incredible. Laura Montgomery, Laura Williams now lives out there. I want to motorcycle through Colorado. Lake Tahoe, Mount Palomar in Southern California. Down through the Keys. Yeah. Some of the islands. We try to go there every winter. I love them. Yeah. Like crystal clear blue water.
What would you call your greatest fear?
I don't know that I really have one at this stage of life. Yeah. I don't fear dying. Yeah, I really don't. I'm able to get along in any kind of a circumstance. So yeah, don't have fear necessarily.
Now, who do we have behind you coming into the kitchen?
That's my 21-year-old Mariah. Are you going to say hello?
Hello.
Hi, Mariah. How are you? My name's
21-year-old.
I'm good.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Community involvement. What has piqued your interest?
Well, I love being involved in the community somehow, and I usually tell my kids that's something everybody has to do. Everybody needs to be involved. They hate this phrase from me, but I usually tell them, here's the phrase, if everybody does a little, no one has to do too much. They hate hearing it, but it's so true. If we all just do a little bit for someone else, the whole world would be better. And I think we all recognize that on some level.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been involved. Years ago, it was with the Neffsville JCs, bunch of old township guys, Dickie Moncrief, the Duke brothers, and a bunch of guys I met from different areas that moved into this area. Manny Valentine, if you remember him. Lily got involved for a couple months and then didn't stick around. That was great. That was a 15 or 20 year stint. We raised a lot of money and gave a lot of money away. And we've been gone as a group for 25 years, and we're still giving $1,000 scholarship away every year to a township grad.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. The board of directors at a local credit union that I've been on for going on 10 years. Judge of elections. Four of my buddies, good friends, are judges in town. One of them got me involved in the election process when he was running, and one thing led to another. So yeah, a lot of different community things, scouting and that kind of stuff, which was always good. Soccer. One of the soccer teams that I started coaching for my youngest, Nigel, that team became one of the top 25 teams in the nation.
Wow. From
little town of Lidditz.
Wow.
Yes. We had an incredible group of boys, and it was all volunteer coaches. And we're going to these tournaments, beating teams where the parents are paying $2, $3, $5,000 a year for these teams to play. And we're taking advantage of them on the field. It was so much fun. Yeah. And that's what started, I started playing soccer at 20. I just retired from competitive adult soccer at 60 last fall. My team finally won the Eastern Pennsylvania Adult Soccer League title. Played with them for 15 years. Finally won the title, and I finally said, you guys don't need a 60-year-old on an over 40 team. Get rid of me. But yeah, I like community involvement.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts or any show and tell items as we leave?
I don't have any show and tell items. I didn't want to bring out photos and all that kind of stuff. Some parting thoughts, just some wisdom in life that I've learned. You heard a little bit of it already. Be really good at something. I don't care what it is. Be really good at something. The other one that I think is critical for all of us to learn in life, standing at 60, I was fortunate enough to understand the banking rule of 72, compounding of interest. If you learn that early, you're not going to have a problem in life as far as getting to retirement and having enough money. I learned a lesson in 87 when Tenement Square happened. I had been investing. I didn't have a lot of money. Had been little investments. I turned $2,000 into close to $15,000, and we didn't have that kind of money back in that period of time of our lives. Every spare bit of money was going to pay Aaron's hospital bills still. But I learned the value of putting a little bit away, and I didn't do it till Tenement Square happened. I was in the JC group at the time, met a financial planner there who's been my financial planner for over 30 years now. He was critical in my life, keeping me focused on what I needed to do. And they're not that expensive. Everybody should have a financial planner. Tenement Square happened. My $14,000 or $15,000 turned into about $700 overnight. All the manufacturing facilities, and he told me this. He said, Scott, when you lose all your money, because I told him what I was doing, he said, call me. How fortuitous was that? I called him immediately and said, Gary, I lost all my money. I need your help. But honestly, starting out, a little bit of investing at that time, what I could afford, I'll be able to retire. Maybe not quite as early as some of my classmates, but I can be comfortable in retirement thanks to having the guidance of somebody that helped me understand how that compounding of money over time will get you there.
Mm-hmm.
If you start at 50, you don't have enough time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that time.
Yeah, right.
They're the biggest things that really kind of help me. Great wife, faith in God, faith in Christ. Just makes life make sense for me.
Hmm.
So.
Love that, brother.
So when do we get you to do this? And last question for you. Can you make this look like Brad Pitt? Photoshop it for the for the future.
If I do, man, you and me both, we're looking exactly the same, you know?
Yeah, because I walk past a mirror now, Hap, and I look in my mirror and I go, I don't feel that old.
No, I know. I'm with you.
There's a little more wisdom. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
A doctor told me, Lauren Hirsch is my physician, my primary care physician. So he's helped me over the years. And I can't remember the physician that told me, but this was their words of wisdom. If you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, is that so true?
Yeah, I hit 60 in January, and if I had a fleeting thought, it was, boy, that was quick.
Yeah.
You know, hitting 60 and, oh my goodness, wow. So for me, it's like you, it's been great. And so I very much appreciate you taking time and being the first guinea pig out of the chute here. And I know our classmates are really going to really appreciate and have fun learning more in depth about Scott Gillespie and what makes you tick. So thank you very kindly.
We might need a Cliff Notes version of this. I think this went a little longer than you and I may have figured. may have, but it's all, to me, very good and very interesting. So it's good stuff. Thank you. Well, thank you for doing this, because I think it will be great to have that going forward. You know, just for classmates, we have lost some of them over the years. And it's, you know, I'm sure at this stage of life, there'll be more of that. And it would be nice to have some of that for all of us, because I do see some of my parents' friends, a lot of their friends aren't left now.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to have that to pass on to family members, you know, because our lives were different than theirs were. Mm-hmm. My kids are living different lives than we did. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you for taking on this endeavor.
Yeah, it's a great thrill. Love and will continue, I'm sure, to love every bit of it. So.
Well, I can't wait to check this out. I don't want to check myself out, but I do want to check others as you get to them. Who's next on the list?
Daryl McCumsey is next. So,
okay.
Yeah. So hopefully 2 a week or close to that, as much as time will, allow us. So love you, brother. Thanks again.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Al.
Yep. See you.
Take care.
Bye.
Yep, bye.